broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Well, the buzz has begun. Guys, this is Scandal, episode 14. I see you, and we see you tonight. We're so excited to be here for another episode of Scandal. As always, I am one of your gladiators, Emile Ennis Jr., joined by...
Hi, gladiators. I'm Sofia Stanley.
Hi, I'm Bamm Ericsen.
And Cornelia is not here, as you can see, but she's out there in them streets.
Doing stand-up.
Right, hustling, doing her comedy. So make sure you tweet her and let her know that you miss her. We're going to go ahead and break down this episode, starting with our favorite? Our favorite couple, Jake and Liv. I couldn't even say that.
That's why you couldn't even say it with a straight face.
So in this episode, we started with Olivia at dinner with Papa Pope, Jake, and Vanessa Moss, and she's describing the tiers of the cake and the layers and the it's just a whole bunch of BS is what we saw.
And even her dad was impressed with her level of BS.
I've never heard you describe cake before. Jake described Olivia to Vanessa as the sister I never had. And then more BS was spewing throughout the episode. What do we think about the Jake and Olivia dynamic this episode?
Go first.
Yeah.
This is going to sound weird. For me, there were moments, especially let's say the first opening at dinner, where Olivia reminded me of The President season 1. Do you remember after she turned his campaign around and made him kind of warm up to Melly in front of the camera, and she kind of was coaching him, and he goes, "No, don't worry, I'm really good at this." I felt like she was doing the same thing. I think it's been a while since we've seen Olivia kind of acting the part and being a full chameleon. So for me, that's actually what I felt. So even though I knew it was BS, I felt like it was extremely believable. That was the first part. And then the second part is, I actually very much felt bad for Vanessa in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want that to be his sister. Obviously, that's not really his sister, number one. Okay. Number 2, would you want? I'm sorry, and I don't. People can say that I'm insecure or naive or are not naive, but there would be absolutely no way that I would want my boyfriend, fiance, whomever, to have a woman that beautiful, that attractive, that charming, that powerful, and arguably that famous for being the ultimate woman anywhere in proximity to my man, unless they are 100% biologically related. So that's kind of in a vacuum how I felt about the opening scene. I kind of was like, yeah, go ahead, Olivia, with your bad self.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that Vanessa is completely clueless, or is she pretending to be clueless, and she has, because if she's pretending to be clueless, then she has to play the game?
I think, and again, and I'm kind of being extremely deliberate with my words, again, seeing the scene in a vacuum, so let's presume that we don't have all of these subplots on this show, and let's presume that as later on in the episode, as Jake described her, that she really is a like a romance movie, Vogue subscription, you know what I mean? Like, she's kind of that atypical and or that stereotypical girl. If in fact that is who she is and there is no backstory and or there is no cover, then she 100% believes it. Yeah. And the reason that she believes it is, again, this is arguably not only one of the most powerful women in the world, but again, we just were introduced to her as a person in a relationship with the President of the United States of America. So you would never presume that this woman who was the president's mistress was also sleeping with anyone else, let alone the now head of the NSA and or the person that you are now dating and or engaged too.
Good point. I've also, well, just to answer your question, Emile, what do I think about this? It's boring to me because I have to keep it real. It's boring only because we know exactly what's going to happen. Okay, you are dealing with the top of the top of the top of the top of the spies. So although Quinn and Huck went in disguise, in black, like you should, versus having hair and makeup and like Olivia was doing a couple weeks ago, they were dressed appropriately to break into Jake's house. But again, you're dealing with the top of the top of the top of the top of the top. So did you not think that your software and whatever you have, Jake is not going to find out?
Well, and then the problem that we have now is Jake was already the top of the top, as you're saying. Like, he was already so deep into B613, then became the head of B613, filled in for Papa Pope when he stepped down. So you already had all this power, and you were able to accomplish all the things that you're doing illegally. Now he is the head of the NSA, so he has everything available to him legally. So it just doesn't make sense. They would think.
See, and I take it from a completely different perspective, and I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I actually think, and I can't remember the name of the episode, and the episode actually could have been like he flew too close to the sun. He's Icarus. His hubris gets the best of him. You actually don't need to pretend to do anything with him. You actually need to pretend that you think you can better him or get the best of him, and then you don't. Because then that's when he plays his hand. Does that make sense? So the fact that he knows that Olivia is watching him is exactly how he messed up. Do you want to know why? Because then he's slipping. He thinks, oh, she's watching me. She has no clue. Do you know what I mean? I'm the one controlling. I'm the one, the puppet master. I'm the one, I'm the maestro.
Yeah.
And then what happens is, even though I don't like how it throughout the episode, it took Olivia to the end of the episode. That really wouldn't have happened. Come on. The minute that girl talked about her running into him again, the cell phone, whatever. Come on now. We all were like, do-do-do-do-do-do. If you're really stalking your ex-boyfriend, you remember every single critical thing about every aspect of your relationship, especially how you met, right? So it's all of that is allowing him, because he thinks he's in the power position, to get sloppy. The minute she said that, he should have been like, do-do-do-do-do, problem, right? So what he should have said is, when he then later on in the episode went to Olivia's house and was like, what are you doing? You're watching me, blah, 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 blah. He should have said, yes, she was my mark to be my wife. And then kind of had gone into the whole diatribe about, like, I want someone capable of love, blah, 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 blah. He should have confronted the fact that he was approaching her in the exact same way that he was approaching Olivia.
I think he should have did it completely different. I think he should have played dumb and not looked at the camera, and he should have let her. Or what?
I 100% agree with you. Yeah. That's actually my point. Does that make sense? Because he thinks he's winning. Yeah. Because he actually thinks that Olivia and OPA is so amateurish, is what's allowing him, out of bravado, to do things like look at the camera. Because I think we all completely agree with you. It would make for a more realistic storyline and a more interesting show to watch if we weren't all able to yell at the screen and basically do like a play-by-play, with the exception of the Hollis twist, which we will talk later. I thought that was great misdirection, and I was like, oh my God!
Yeah, for sure. So we talked about...
And I'm sorry if I'm like talking a lot, and I know you all are like, is this Sofia Stanley? You talk all the time, but I still feel like I'm talking a lot today. Because this was a good episode.
I don't... That storyline is boring. What else is there to talk about?
Well, I mean, can I say something? Because we all think Jake is boring.
Yeah. Right.
Arguably, he's like the death knell of the show.
Listen.
I mean, I'm just keeping it 100. But I think I did a pretty good job of trying.
Yeah.
You tried.
Okay.
And I tried to defend the trophy wife or whatever she is.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. Oh wait, time out. Sorry, and I can't remember. Please, I apologize for not remembering your name, and I can't pull up my phone quick enough. But last week, somebody mentioned to me. So his fiance's name is Vanessa Moss, right? So supposedly the first two people that Jake killed on the show, which I'm presuming were the reporter and the person who worked at the White House, the former communications director. One of their first names was Vanessa, and one of their last names was Moss. I don't know if that's a foreshadowing or if it just happens that the writers are pulling names, but someone on Twitter, I thought that was very astute of them to make that catch, if it is a catch to be made, right?
How did y'all catch that?
Yo, they're on it.
Right?
No, these gladiators are on it.
Okay, guys, let's go to OPA. This storyline I really enjoy, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say I tried to fake it, but guys, I am extremely sick. I'm trying to fake it today, so if I'm low energy, that is why. OPA, we had Quinn, who once again is taking the reins. She's doing everything she needs to do because Olivia is still spaced out. She's focusing on one thing. Marcus just doesn't have a clue what's going on because they won't fill him in. Huck is focused on his child and his ex-wife. So we have all these different elements. What I loved about this episode is it felt like in the bubble of OPA, we finally had a bit of closure in a lot of scenarios. Not a bit, we had closure in a lot of scenarios. So let's start with Huck. So Huck, once again, is watching the game, but the difference is when he's watching his son on the screen this time, we see a man with his ex-wife and cheering on the son. And Marcus is saying, oh, did you know she was dating? He's like, oh yeah, I knew about him, blah, blah. So initially when Huck dismissed Marcus and then he went and met Charlie and he said, I think this is one of the guys we tried to take out and he's seeking revenge towards my family. I'm sure at least my brain was going, is he making up this scenario just so he can have Charlie kill him or do something to kill him? The saddest part was when and I'm just going to fast forward to the end, the saddest part was after we saw their dialogue and we saw what happened and then he returns him to his car and he's in the back seat with Liv. It was extremely sad to see how broken Huck as a person is. Like, he was truly trying to hold on to something that he just needs to let go, and Guillermo Diaz is one of the only actors on the show. No, I don't want to say it because that's a lot, but he is such an incredible actor, and whenever he has a gut-wrenching scene like that, it really does bring one to tears. Like, it was just amazing scene. So were you guys on the same page thinking that he was just trying to get Charlie to, oh yeah, that's sick, so he could just have an excuse to?
Yes, but I was also in the back of my head rooting that he actually killed Sean.
Why?
Because he needs a storyline. He sits in that office all day, and
it's a build-up.
But listen. All freaking season 5 it's been Olivia, Fitz, and now it's Liv and Jake. I was so glad that there was multiple storylines that was not dealing with Olivia and Jake, and now that Huck kind of has closure and he seems to be at peace with the situation. Now, are they going to keep him back in the office? Is there, I need more storyline.
But then the only thing is, so then he would have killed him, and then what? Then they would have had to have covered it up. And then
but it's something that OPA can do. So I felt like Huck's is kind of, he has peace now, and I would have liked him to kill him just for the sake of giving this man a storyline.
Well, I don't know if he necessarily has peace.
Well, I mean, but some peace, a little.
Yeah,
that's all.
And I agree with you, Emile.
Yeah. It looks like it's done, but his storyline, they're going to figure something out. They always do. But I get what you're saying about seeing so much of Liv, Jake, and Fitz Liv. But, I mean, that's the show.
And see, this is going to sound weird, and I'm going to try to keep this short and tight. Regardless of what we've seen Huck do, he is definitively, in my opinion, one of the characters that always wears that white hat. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Like, it would have actually been disingenuous to his character to have killed the man. The fact that you have this man so geeked in love with Kim, who is understandable, that was his wife, he was in love with Kim, is so enamored with Javi, hello, again, amazing kid, and actually wants to marry her after a couple of months. I think that, to me, what it showed is, even though, like Emile said, even though Huck is struggling, even though Huck let his guy out, even though Huck has been through what Huck has been through, in the core, in his heart, he's a good person. And that always wins out. And to me, that's what happened even when his mind was unraveling. And just like you, I actually thought he was making it up, and when I realized he wasn't, that actually scared me more, because in my mind that meant he may not be able to control it. To me, at least, if you're just going after revenge for the sake of revenge, or you don't want your wife to be with someone else, that's actually something that you're consciously making a decision to do. The fact that your brain has become so twisted that you are making up scenarios to validate what you're about to do, that scares me. The fact that he was able to pull himself back and actually didn't kill him reminded me that Huck really is the literal and figurative ultimate gladiator.
Yeah, and I think what's even more touching, excellent point, Sophia, what's even more touching is just a reminder that even though he can't have his child, he can't have his wife anymore, he still loves them. So if he did kill Sean, he would not only, they would have another situation have to clean up. After you find out that this guy is not somebody who's actually seeking revenge, he loves her, he's going to propose to her, he takes care of my child, you'll be doing a disservice to your family by killing. And I think that even
the ultimate sacrifice.
Because here's the thing, I believe Huck probably did still, even after he found out, like, that's still somebody with your wife and kid, like he still probably wanted to kill him regardless that he wasn't doing revenge. But the thing is, because he can truly see their interaction, that they're in love. And then my last thing, if it was something where they'd only been dating for like a couple of weeks or a couple of months and he wasn't going to propose, it might have been a different story. But the fact that they've been dating for a while, he knows, there's an attachment now. If you're thinking about proposing, you've been dating long enough. So,
well, I'll say this.
And
now.
Sean is cute. Yeah. Let's be 100. So go ahead, Kim and Javi. Go ahead with your best self.
Kim has a type.
I noticed that too. Not a bad type, though.
But I'll jump on you guys' side and just say that he loves his wife and son enough to let go. And so now that he's let go, will we see a different side of Huck? I mean, I thought the character that he played with the glasses and so forth, like
Harold.
That's not just him being a great actor, but maybe.
You're saying that it could be foreshadowing. That's like another side. The fact that Huck has layers and other. Yeah, that's an excellent catch.
Well, speaking of Sean proposing, last week we said that Kevin Undergaro proposed to Maria Menounos. So, if you don't know who Kevin Undergaro is, he is the creator of AFTERBUZZ. And if you are curious about his midlife crisis, if you enjoy hearing stories about behind the scenes of Hollywood, if you're amused by old TV and movie references, then you're going to love the Tomorrow Show with Kevin Undergaro. They want you to join them and Maria Menounos, along with AFTERBUZZ co-hosts Roxy Stryer, Ashley Daniels, and others for all the insanity. If you want to tune in, watch live Monday and Thursday nights, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific time on thetomorrowshow.com. Or should I say subscribe and download for free on iTunes. Go to thetomorrowshow.com for more information.
And when you are on iTunes subscribing to that new show, make sure to check out our AfterBuzz recap of Scandal. So again, you go to iTunes, you type in Scandal AfterBuzz TV, and all of our podcasts will pop up. And you can subscribe, comment, and more importantly, tell a friend. But really, most importantly, rate 5 stars and leave a comment. We really do read your comments. Obviously, you hear sometimes we'll say things, you'll be like, I said that. It's because we read your comment. So Gladiators, we really appreciate you. Rate, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend on iTunes.
Yes. And if you need a little extra shot of conversation, make sure you check out Happy Hour Shot of Conversation. That's a podcast that we do each and every week. Really fun. We talk about all the hot topics of the week, so you don't want to miss it. Happy Hour, a shot of conversation. Guys, let's get back to OPA. So we talked about Huck. Quinn has been frustrated for a while, and we've all expressed our frustration on this show, especially in the last couple episodes. We've come a long way with Quinn, because remember, one of us used to call Quinn Chicken Head a long time ago, all the time.
I wonder who that would be.
Guilty.
I'm about to have a cough attack. So we've come a long way with Quinn. But recently, she's been kind of annoying me, and I think the biggest frustration is in her trying to save Marcus from knowing the truth of what OPA is and their past and what they really do, and the secrets that they're hiding. She's actually ended up hurting the whole situation. Like, that would be like if I was... I'll say that.
It's so, you know what's amazing sometimes? We've been doing this show together now. What have we been doing it now for 3 years, 4 years since season 1? So because of that, it's almost like we speak our own language. See what's happening even right now? And it's literally like, without even knowing what you're going to say, I knew exactly what you were going to say. And I was like, no, son, that's offline. Or maybe on Happy Hour.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Because we have an E rating.
Okay. See, that's why I don't like being sick. I have a cough attack. Okay. So anyway, so Quinn, she's been keeping this from Marcus. She's been trying to protect him. I think the reason why I was so happy is we finally had an episode where, because we talked about how last episode Fitz, I don't know if it was Cornelia, or was it Bamm? Somebody said they didn't think that Fitz was the right one, or Olivia was the right one to hold Fitz accountable and like speak up. But in this situation, Quinn, surprisingly, was the perfect person to talk to Liv in the way she talked to her, because you would think that it would be somebody that she's more intimate with, but the fact that Quinn was brought in the way she was brought in to their family, the fact that she has gone through so much with them, and Quinn was one of the pivotal reasons why Olivia is back where she is, because she was so diligent in being proactive during Olivia's kidnapping and just holding everything down. When she spoke the truth to Liv and just really called Liv out and everything, at first I was like, yes, you better say, but then I was so I don't know if I was shocked by Liv's response. I wasn't expecting it because we've seen so much resistance, almost a Chinese wall, if you want, from Liv over the past whole season almost, where she doesn't talk about her personal life. She's very jaded towards everything. She's not in her element. But we finally had the wall come down where she snapped, and it was so nice to see Liv again. What do you guys think?
I liked that moment when they were outside. When Liv says that, you know, you'll handle the situation is why I'm doing what I'm doing. My only problem with that is, yes, she wanted Quinn to handle the situation, but Quinn's not Olivia Pope. And just as last week when we brought up the situation where had Marcus not brought up the plot hole, because Quinn was like, let it go. She's not Olivia Pope. And so I understand that you put this responsibility on Quinn, but Quinn is not you. And so I see why Quinn had the frustration, because she had a lot to handle, because she can't handle as much as Olivia, and she was doing the best that she can. So I saw both sides, but at the same time, do you guys think that Olivia should have put all the responsibility on Quinn?
I think it's sometimes, and jump in whenever you want, Emile, it's sometimes the only way that you learn. So for instance, in the same way, arguably 2 seasons ago, or the beginning of season 4, I know, and a little bit on season 3 when the first time basically Abby entered the White House and was Olivia's proxy. Think about Abby then versus Abby now. Yeah. It's night and day difference. Why? Because again, and what happened, Abby literally asked Olivia, do you think I'm ready? And part of, I think, being in that paternal or the parental role is basically giving your children all of the assets that they can to fly. And then at the last minute, you actually need to literally let them off the cliff and keep your fingers crossed and hope that they can do it. And I think that's actually what she's doing with Quinn. I think she has to give her the tools to potentially not be Olivia, because again, in the same way that Cyrus said to Abby, you're never gonna be Olivia, no one can ever be Olivia, but we still don't know what Quinn can become. In the same way that we never thought that Abby would now be making a run to be chief of staff at the White House.
True.
So I think that on some levels it is actually selfish of us to think that Olivia is not a normal human being. I think it is selfish of us to think, so what? Sometimes she doesn't need a timeout. Sometimes she doesn't like for someone to carry the ball. Like she can't literally be the quarterback who throws the ball, runs the ball, tackles. Like you literally can't do everything. And I think that what she was saying is, she was 100% accountable, and she admitted that, yes, I was 100% selfish, and I'm now going to tell you why. Theoretically, she has done, and I can kind of talk out of my other side of my mouth, which I will not, but she has created OPA to save these individuals. Olivia could be just as powerful on her own and have minions who she didn't actually care about their lives. The fact that she in some sense has created a family, I think shows that she cares about them. And just like any other quote unquote dysfunctional family, you're gonna have highs and lows, and that's actually why Quinn of all people was able to come mano a mano with Olivia, only because they are family. Nobody else but family could have talked to Olivia in the way that she did, and not only got away with it, but it's one of the first times that we've actually seen, just like you said, Olivia's wall come down. There was a certain level of intimacy. She was raw and she was honest and arguably explained the trajectory that has been the last year of this show on some levels is a pure response to literally feeling like you lost your life and now you're running to literally do all of those things that you thought you were not going to be able to do, and now she's arguably finally able to breathe and take stock of what she really wants to do.
Well said. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I know I am talking a lot. The only other thing, so period, full stop, pause. The only other thing, too, is on the flip side, in defense of Quinn, of not letting Marcus in, because I was totally screaming at this, yelling at the screen. And I was like, but you're the one who, like, basically brought him in here. I don't understand why you're not telling him. But then there was a moment when she was basically saying, like, you know, Harrison and Abby, whatever, that was a family. I realized also part of it, too, is very similar to why Huck didn't want to let Marcus in. She didn't want to basically have Marcus become one of the family, because then she could lose him like she lost Harrison.
Poor thing.
Yeah, Bam's like, so what, who cares? Okay,
No,
I try.
It's not so who cares, but he can't work at OPA and not know some of the background information. So yeah,
I'm not. Then and again, I'm not talking from a practical perspective. I'm talking from a purely emotional perspective. That oftentimes the reason. Think about it. Secrets are intimacy. Secrets are how you actually know that you're friends. Like the people that you like gossip with and tell things that you should not be telling other people, who if shit went left could have something against you. That's real intimacy. In the same way that if you're a real loyal friend, even when that friendship breaks up, those secrets that you knew when you were friends, you keep those secrets. That's intimacy. So I think that the reason she wasn't letting him in was a lack of intimacy. And I think in that moment, because they all had a wall up, and in Olivia taking down her wall, it allowed Quinn to take a step closer to Olivia, which then allowed her to take a step closer to Marcus.
good point. I can't wait to talk about secrets later.
Okay.
Oh, snap.
I'm coughing all over. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's go to the presidential race. So we have, I want to go top to bottom. So we have Mellie, who is Mellie and Susan. They both are needing campaign funds. They're both having meetings with Hollis Doyle. Mellie initially says that she doesn't want to work with Hollis, but she takes the meeting anyway. And Hollis has this this very his personality can be off-putting to certain people.
NC-17 rating comments.
Yeah, he wants to get up the skirt and lay in bed with you and all these different things, but he gets his point across with all his verbiage. But Hollis, after Mellie denies him, she then goes and meets with Susan. And what I loved about this scene, though, was the interaction between Hollis and Fitz and how they went tit for tat, because we all know that Hollis was part of that team that helped get Fitz into office. So
the Fab Five.
It was kind of like the secret language they were speaking, and that's why he was so quick to get him out. Oh no, this means over. But I also love how, and we'll get to Abby later, but I love how Susan stepped up this episode, how Abby stepped up this episode, how Quinn stepped up this episode. So many people who recently have been more timid and quiet and afraid to speak their minds, they really stepped into the big shoes today and weren't afraid to like go there. So go ahead.
No, actually, I was going to make a point, and then I just realized my point is wrong.
What?
I was going to say, and we've talked about this before, is that I think that there is always a theme with this show that is very not only pro-woman, but also shows what can happen when women are not able to speak for themselves, either because they in themselves feel like that they are not worthy, or because a man is muting their voice. So I think that specifically as it relates to Susan, the president was actually muting her voice. He was actually trying to speak for her. I know that you don't believe in this. I know whatever. And she's looking at him like, I'm very capable of speaking for myself.
Right.
And that's what she did later. I felt like same thing with Abby. I think that Abby has been muted by Cyrus. And Mellie, arguably in her previous life as first lady, was muted also by the president. I think the misstep she made, and then I'm going to kind of counter this, is that even with Hollis, when he originally came into the office and with all of his innuendo, I actually wanted Mellie to go Southern on him and be like, you know what, son, like, that's not how it's going to happen. Like, you're not effing me
Yeah.
because I'm Melly Gray. You know what I mean? I kind of wanted her to come like balls out and
Pull out
basically
some moonshine.
completely and literally be like, yo, this is what you need. This is what I need. This is how it's going to roll. I am not my husband.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth, all this other stuff like that, and I wanted her to do that. And I think, ironically, that's why she got.
Mm-hmm. She should have played the host they win in theory. I'm just saying, she totally should have played that because
I say boss chicks be bossing.
Yeah. I can't.
Yeah, I can't be with that other statement. But yeah, so I think that that's the underlying theme. That, you know what I mean, you definitely, no matter what, you have to speak and walk into your truth, and then nobody has anything over you.
Well, when Fitz said, "Don't yell at me," she said, "Get out to Liz," and then she said, "Well, tell me, where do I yell at you at?"
Oh my, that was amazing. No, it was great.
It was perfect.
No, it was great. It was like, well, then tell me. But the way she said it, she was like, okay, cool. Well, then tell me where we need to go so that I can. I was like, girl.
She need to flip her hair or something. That moment, like she turned into somebody else.
And then poured herself. Because didn't you think she was gonna pour them a glass?
Yeah.
No, she poured herself a glass.
And then told what's her name to get out.
No, after. She told her to get out, and then she turned and then poured the drink. Because she was like, yo, you get on my last nerve.
Wait till she find out what David's doing. Let's talk, before we go into Hollis in the finale. Well, actually, we can go to it now. So Hollis is running for president. He had the second meeting with Melly. Melly pretty much tells her whole platform, or enough of it. Why would you tell him the tagline?
Okay. Again, my theory, if she would have done the whole stay winning, like Sofia said a couple minutes ago, the minute that he came at her, basically saying, I will sponsor you, I will give you some of my millions or billions of dollars to run your campaign if you let me hit it, you should have told him to get his ass out of the office, or you should have checked and be like, you should have said no.
Or said yes and gone back on your promise.
Something.
So the fact that you then tell somebody you're deep, like, this is a deep secret. Like, this is, she's running for president. And so for the fact that the man who basically said, I'll give you the money if you let me bang, and then you think because you sip a little of the brown water that now y'all cool, like, Melly.
But this is also the thing is, and I'm going to kind of piggyback off of your statement. Also, part of the problem, though, is, and I'm having a hard time with this one, whether or not Olivia is officially or unofficially running Melly's campaign, she needs to listen to Olivia. Olivia said, don't take the meeting. It was great misdirection because I just presumed she was talking about Fitz, and then Hollis walks in. I think she is forgetting that no matter what, she's still an underdog. Regardless of that, the chapter of the book being leaked, she is still an underdog. Olivia was able to make a president out of nothing because she ran the first grant campaign. She needs to start to listen to Olivia a little bit more, because I think what ends up happening is Melly has this weird eagerness and this real weird naivete that time and time gets her into trouble. That's the first part. The second part is, and I know I've said this before, you don't have any other donors other than Hollis? You have now been First Lady for 7 years. You have been, I don't know what they call First Ladies when you're in the governor's mansion, but she's arguably been the First Lady there. Do you see what I'm trying to say? She was a lawyer. She has great pedigree. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I need her to have other individuals that we have not seen before. I need her to have access to money. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're very logical on what you're saying. Oh, okay.
But this is Melly, the First Lady, who's been too busy chasing after her husband and trying to.
But they need her to turn. They need her to turn a corner. Does that make sense? Yes, I know that not overnight, but I do. I really felt like a certain aspect of writing the book was cathartic, even though she couldn't put all of it into the book, right? That she needs to fully have a come to Jesus moment and really walk into her truth. Or if this is her truth, then it's going to be a sad campaign, and we're gonna see mad, drunk, sad, smelly Melly probably very soon.
She's not ready to be president, and also if Liv is going to be her campaign manager, again, you have to know who you're dealing with when you are managing a celebrity or artist or something.
But the problem is she's not managing her, and that's a problem. That's why I've been said officially, unofficially. You can tell that obviously Olivia's number one objective is figuring out what Jake is doing, and I kind of get that because I think that the way the entire show has been going and the way that obviously Rowan and B613 it has become the center of her universe, she arguably thinks that there is no we the people if we the people are not safe.
Yeah.
So that in her mind takes precedence or is more important than any campaign if in fact the Republic does not stand.
Yeah. Let's talk about Cyrus. So Cyrus is, well, first of all, Jeff Perry's an amazing actor, but Cyrus is an amazing actor until he gets caught on his bullshit and somebody presents some evidence. So Ethan, who we've had on the show before,
yes,
I'm glad you pop up every now and then. Nice to see you still working out there. He was here on this episode, and I preface that because I hated him this episode. Like, come on, dude, come on. You can't have slip ups like that. So he slipped up, and even though he didn't directly say, just the fact he made a statement that maybe if Cyrus runs Vargas's campaign, like that's just not something that would naturally come, especially since Vargas is a Democratic candidate.
This is the thing is, and I kept like writing like almost little circles every time they said that. So this actually doesn't make sense to me. Cyrus is like the most left-leaning middle Republican you're ever gonna come in contact with. Do you remember when he was afraid? And I apologize, gladiators, if I'm gonna get my reference wrong, but I think it was the episode when he thought that Fitz wasn't gonna run for a second term. Right? And he was basically going over why it is that he voted for Fitz. You know what I mean? That Fitz is for gay rights, that Fitz, like all of the things that he is. You know, even you know, when the person died and he did the Dream Act.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like all of the things, the gun control, all of the things, if you think about it, that Fitz has done that has made him a worthy president are arguably middle-leaning and or Democrat-leaning. Yeah. That's the first part. Second part is, even though Olivia is arguably apolitical, again, remember when Abby first, in season 1, when basically, or I think it was season 1, when we were first introduced to the backstory of Abby, and Abby was like, oh, but he's a Republican. Are you going to vote for him? Do you remember that whole thing? And even how the president was like, are you going to vote for me?
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, you have to earn my vote. So arguably, why? Because she's a Democrat.
Yeah.
I think it's actually rather amateurish to think that we're not in this game of politics. Does that make sense? Like, I need my next job. If my next job and my next ticket to the White House to potentially, again, be chief of staff to create a king is a Democrat, I don't really see the problem. Again, a Democrat who leans Democrat in terms of some of his social policies, but again, is a veteran, which then leans you a little bit more Republican. So again, he seems like a very right-leaning Democrat. That's the first part. Go ahead. Something happened in your hearing?
No, I felt I was.
Are we having an earthquake? Oh Lord Jesus, I hope not.
Let me check Twitter.
And then my last thing is, I'm actually saying this is I think this was a good aspect of the episode because I didn't see this coming. I'm a dork. I didn't see what the problem was. I honestly didn't see the problem in Cyrus running his campaign. So what? Cyrus takes a vacation for the next 6 months. Does that make sense? He's out of your way. Cyrus already got fired. So the fact that Cyrus is back, Cyrus is only back because he made a power play. Cyrus don't do nothing anyways. Like, Cyrus has already been out. Abby's now the work wife. So you actually know where Cyrus is. You let him sit for the next 6 months. I honestly didn't see, and I know everyone's going to be like, how can you not see this, Sophie? I really didn't see that Abby was going to make a power play for chief of staff.
Especially after that conversation she had with Liv. But once again, I think that shows Abby coming into her own and making her own decisions. And with anything, you have to do what you feel is best. But even after she did it, you could tell there was still some hesitation. She apologized. And
I yelled at the screen, I go, don't do that. Because that, to me, that demeans you. Like, if you're going to do it, do it. Don't apologize because you're not sorry. If you were sorry, you wouldn't have done it. I'm so tired of people being like, sorry. Sorry. No. Like the second time I did it. Oh my God.
What?
Keyboard gangsters.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Don't like come for people and say something that once you typed it and you read it was rude, and then when someone's like rude, you're like, oh, I'm sorry.
Don't
no,
come
be
for
like,
me
yo.
unless I come for you.
Right? But I also, I think I lost my train of thought, but it's coming back to me. And maybe I'm in a weird place today. I actually don't think that makes her a monster.
It doesn't.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, he was obviously going against his job. You just told, and you were like, okay, cool. You don't need to look for someone. I'm the person for the job. I don't see how that's backstabbing.
I don't see it at all. What I really liked, my favorite thing about this episode that I liked is Abby is the ear to everyone. Mm-hmm. Everyone goes and spills to Abby.
Even David.
David spilled to Abby, Quinn, Fitz and Liv spill. The boy Ethan. Everyone was spilling to Abby. Mm-hmm. And what I liked about this is,
oh snap, is that?
Oh no, that's me shaking my leg.
Oh.
Yeah, see, I thought, yeah.
But there was an earthquake in Loma Linda, California, like 6 minutes ago. I don't know where that is, though.
Okay.
You are good, Bam.
But what I liked about Abby is she had all this information, and a lot of times when someone is always the ear and people are always telling you things, you either be quiet and never say anything, or at some point you're like, you know what, I'm tired of everybody. They just have a moment, and I'm glad that Abby finally had a moment for herself, because everyone's always at Abby. Everyone's always at her. Mm-hmm. Everyone's always, in her ear, wanting to get her opinion, and she's kind of just she's just the body who has to listen. Yeah. She took all the, think about all the gossip and scoop that she just got in tonight's episode. She took all of this and she made it for Team Abby and said, forget the rest of you guys. Let me do something for myself. That's why I specifically love this episode, because she took all the information that she got and she used it for herself. So
you know what? In this episode, Abby could have performed "Listen" from Dreamgirls with Beyonce, if you know the lyrics, and that would have been the perfect ballad for her.
How come? Why am I so? Which song is that?
From Dreamgirls.
No, but which one?
Listen. I don't know. Just listen.
Oh, see y'all.
That's all I know is
to the
listen.
song "Here in My Heart." The melody that starts, I can't complete. Listen. She thought she was gonna get an Oscar.
Yeah, I really did.
Yeah, I was never saying it too. She told me, but she didn't. Too many writers on the song.
No, she thought she was gonna get something for that. Okay, but anyway, if you know the lyrics to that song, you know why. So, but what I loved, there was something I was gonna say.
Abby.
Oh, with Abby, this was very similar to, as far as Cyrus, this was very similar to Jake, where they think that they are smarter than they actually are. Because with Cyrus, he actually did a disservice to himself by playing the whole cool, casual, oh yeah, that's fine, oh yeah, we can do that, yeah. Because that's not Cyrus. If Cyrus was truly still
in
his
the game,
chief of staff in the game, he would be questioning, like, oh, you want her to take a meeting with Holly? Like, he let his guard down too soon. And then, because when, you know what they say, a hit dog hollers. When Abby went into the room and when she confronted Cyrus about Vargas, he was too adamant to say.
Well, see, that's the problem. If you compare Cyrus and Liv, when you come at Cyrus when he knows he's wrong, he has to keep fighting back. Versus Olivia, where if you just keep tearing, she's gonna turn around, she's gonna stop, she's gonna acknowledge, she's gonna read you in her own way, but she's gonna give something. Cyrus is totally opposite. Cyrus is someone who feels like he can lie his way out of anything, and so, I mean, Abby said you're lying like 4 times, and he kept going.
You lie. That's so many Dreamgirl references. All right, did we miss anything?
No, and if we did, we'll talk about it on Twitter.
Indeed,
or Facebook.
Hollis.
I love that. I love that move that he's running, because again, and I say this every week, but I'm sick and tired of the whole Jake Liv back and forth, and so now we have storylines.
No, it's fun bringing back old characters for old fans, like having Sally Langston every week on the Liberty Report, even though it's a brief 1 minute or less. I love that. Seeing Hollis Doyle again, just everything about him. It's just great for television, so I enjoy that. So yeah, it'll be great to see. Do we have any news and gossip?
Nope.
I do want to shout someone out. I met someone who watches us. They are a weekly gladiator, and they're from LA.
Oh, good. Shout them out. What's her name?
I'm going to.
Oh, sorry.
I
was such a dork. I got all excited. I was like, oh.
On Instagram, his name is Mr. Tatum.
Mr. What?
Mr. Tatum.
Okay, let me look him up.
So
Hi there, Mr. Tatum.
Yeah, so Tatum, Mr. Tatum, and then on
West
Snapchat
side,
he's
left
Mr.
side.
Mr. _Tatum. But like in LA Gladiator, that's a first. We always meet so many people that are from various places.
Speak for yourself. I meet LA Gladiators all the time.
No, I've never.
I met a couple.
Oh, because they've always been visiting for you
Yeah.
when you run into people. I run into people who live here all the time.
Wait, what's his Instagram? I'll get it after. I don't see it. I see you. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for watching our show, LA
Mr.
Gladiator,
Tatum.
Mr. Tatum.
And all the rest of you gladiators, we love you.
We had some gladiators tweet us from South Africa.
Yeah, oh my
Ireland,
God. Venezuela.
We have them all over.
Brazil.
Jamaica. They're all over. So we really appreciate your support. Let's go into predictions.
I don't really have any predictions, even though I actually do. I like the direction that the show is going. Starting episode 14, I'm here for this. And then just real quick, it's not a prediction, it's just like kind of a last comment, almost like a last call for the show. Olivia's not a fool. So I'm so tired of Jake's diatribes because they fall flat. She went to the White House. She chose to leave the White House because she knew what she was doing. I don't see how she's a fool.
Yeah.
And the last thing is she is fully capable of love because she loves OPA.
True.
I don't have a prediction. I just wonder, will she fall under a rock, or will she pick herself up now that Hollis, dropped a bomb on her?
Just don't go to that moonshine, girl.
No, actually go to the moonshine.
Yeah, she needs to do something. She needs to
needs to go to the moonshine.
Maybe. We'll see. Well, yeah, she does the moonshine with Olivia and sit on the floor again and have a brainstorm session. Then I agree with that. I don't have any predictions. I'm with you guys. I think that the direction, like Sofia said, is going in the right direction. It was an entertaining episode, and yeah, I'm excited to see what's coming. So let us know what you think, once again, by going to iTunes, rating, commenting, subscribing. On Twitter, let us know who your cold piece of the week is. Cornelia's not here, but she still obviously has a Twitter account and she'll see your tweet. So if you have a cold piece for this episode, let Cornelia know.
At Cornelia.
Yes, at Cornelia, Kennelia. I spelled it because her name's not down here today. And also, where can we find you guys on social media?
You can find me on social media at Bamm Ericsen.
You can find me at Sofia Stanley, Twitter and Facebook, at the Sofia Stanley on Instagram.
And you can find me at Emile Ennis Jr. And if you need, like we said, an extra shot of conversation, go to Happy Hour, a shot of conversation. We talked about Sierra and Russell Wilson's engagement, Jaden Smith's lack of
gender obvious clothing.
I saw him at Starbucks.
What? Was he? That's okay.
No,
And you can find
dressed
Happy
regular.
Hour, a shot of conversation at Happy Hour _TV, Twitter and
I'm
Instagram.
to start another conversation. And you can follow me at Emile Ennis Jr. Guys, thank you so much for listening each and every week. We will see you same time, same place next week.
Bye. Cheers.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.